If you'll take your seats, please. We're about to begin. Here we go.
Join with us.
Eternal God, who calls us to repentance, we are grateful for the opportunity to answer your call, to forsake our sins, to turn to you with all our hearts. On this evening of Kol Nidre, as I do every year, I ask any of you whom I have wronged as your rabbi to please forgive me. Please know that it was not intentional. I ask you to forgive me because I'm your rabbi, and I wish to be in relationship with you. So if I walked by you in a hurry and did not say hello, I'm sorry. If I said something in jest and offended you and seemed insensitive or caused you embarrassment, if I did that, I am sorry. If I didn't call you when you expected, maybe even when you were ill, I'm sorry. For any wrong I've committed, I ask for your forgiveness. But if this public apology is not enough, I want you to come in. I want you to share with me. Share with me so that we can begin again in wholeness as rabbi and congregant. I seek forgiveness to be whole with you and with all of you. On this night of atonement, we all yearn to become better than we have been. For you, O Lord, have given us the great gift of atonement, enabling individuals and communities to return to you and to your will. Open our hearts to the call of this sacred night, so that the words of our prayers may remain with us, to renew us, to refine us. May our deeds make us worthy to hear your divine assurance, Salachti, I have forgiven. Page 398, the Kol Nidre. It's a sign of remembering that our words are meaningful, and when we make promises to ourselves, to others, to the world, we don't keep them, that we need to reflect on that. We have to reflect on the sanctity of words and deeds. On this Kol Nidre, we're mindful of the vows that we have taken. We rise together, please, by the authority of the heavenly court and by the authority of this earthly court, with divine consent. And with the consent of this congregation, we hereby declare it permissible to pray with those who have transgressed.
Shiva Shamala, Uvashiva Shamata, Aldata Makum, Veldata Kahal, Anumati Rin Lead Palel, Imha Avar Yani. Nidre v'yasarei v'charamei v'konomei v'chinuyei v'kinusei u'shavut Din Darna Udeish Tivana Yom Kippurim Zad Yom Kippurim Haba Lenu Letova Icharatna vehon kon Yehon Sharan Yehon Sharan Shavitin Betalin Muvutalin Lashirin Velakayamim Nidrana la Nidre Ve'esarana la Esare Ushavuatana la Shavuot. Nidre Viesare Vacharame Vekonome Vechinuye Vekinuse Ushavuot Dindarna Ureishtevana Ureacharimna Vidyasana Mi Yom Kippurim Zad Yom Kippurim icharatna vehon kon yehon sharan yehon sharan Shvitin Vitelin Vuvutalin La Shiririn Vela Kayamim Nidrana La Nidre Vesarana La Esare Ushavuatana La Shavut Kol Nidre V'yasarei V'charamei V'konomei V'chinuyei V'kinusei Ushavut Din Darna Udeish Divana Iti Hasarna Miyom Kippurim Zeh Ad Yom Kippurim Hamoleinu Letorah Kon Icharatna Vehon Yehon Sharan Yehon Sharan Shvikin Shvitin Vitelin Vutalin La Shiririn Vela Kayamim Nidrana La כגודל חסדך וכאשר נשאת לעם הזה ממצרים ביד הנה ושם נאמר
ויאמר אדוני צלחתי כי דבריך ויאמר אדוני צלחתי כי דבריך ויאמר אדוני צלחתי כי
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Praise are you, O Lord God, ruler of the universe, who has kept us in life, who has sustained us with the joy of community and family, who has brought us to this moment to be able to appreciate life itself. Please, God, continue to give this blessing of appreciation and awe of life. And let us all say, Amen. The ark is closed. You may be seated. We continue page 404.
מזמור שיר ליום
מזמור
השבת.
שיר ליום השבת, טוב לאדון אדוני, זמר לשמחה עליון, להגיד לבוקר עשתך, So you feeling like a community? So Yom Kippur, we've been here through these days. 10 days when we began on Rosh Hashanah. A sense of one's own possibilities in the world, the importance of community. And this now, we're at the finish line. Right? The next 25 hours, maybe 26. Right? We're heading home in the sense of what is this really going to be about? Are you going to walk away a changed person with all the potential of your humanness? Or are you going to waste that blessing we call life? That's what's at stake here. They're big stakes. We want you to think about these moments. The Baruch Hu is a call to prayer. It's a sense of that community. You can only recite this prayer when we have a community. And I ask you to rise, page 408. be seated. Page 409 there, Mariva Ravim towards the top, divided by couplets. We'll read this as a responsive reading as I begin. Praised are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, whose word brings on the dusk of evening. The stars above follow their appointed rounds in response to your divine will. You remove the day and bring on the night. You separate one from the other. May you rule over us as you rule over nature. Praised are you, O Lord, who brings the evening dusk.
Umavir yom, umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamidim lo chaleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai.
Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo.
Ay, 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 Hamariv, Aravim.
Amen. Page 410. Ahavat olam b'Yisrael malchavta. Okay.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך אתה אדוני.
Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo.
אוהב עמו ישראל.
Page 412, you will find there the Shema. If you look carefully, some of you will know that it says on that, after the Shema, the next line, the Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed, it says aloud. Uniquely for Yom Kippur, on every other day we recite it in a hushed tone. So why is this? Well, it's a story of how we actually receive this blessing of Baruch Shem. The story goes that Moses was in the heavenly realm visiting with God, and he happened to overhear the angels praising God with these words, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed, blessed is your name and your kingdom forever and ever. And he'd never heard these words before. So according to the rabbis, he stole the words and brought them down into the world that we inhabit. So why don't we recite them aloud? Rav Asi in the Talmud shares a rabbinic tradition. This can be compared to a man who stole jewelry from the royal palace, which he gave to his wife. Do not wear these in public, but only in the house. But on the Day of Atonement, when we are as pure as angels, that's the one time that we're allowed to recite these words. You see, that's why we wear white, and we encourage many of you. You saw the picture and the logo. Whether it's a kittel like tradition has, or just wearing white pants and a shirt, more important than honestly that jacket and tie is a sense of being moved by the experience. The sense that we are trying to achieve a different relationship in a different realm. So tomorrow, if you wish, and you can find some white and you wish to come, however you are, we want you to know you're welcome in this prayer experience. But this is how we feel it. This is the time in which we are elevating ourselves up. That's why we're allowed to recite these words, and only on this day. As we turn now and listen to the words of the Shema, listen, Israel.
Listen, Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Sing it with me. Listen, Israel. Listen, Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Listen, Israel, our God is one. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Listen, Israel, Adonai, our God is one. Let's hear your voices. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'otecha ve'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha.
We continue silently through the next two pages of the Shema, the second and third paragraphs. Naomi Shemini, Shemini.
Adonai Elohechem ve'emet.
Page 419. Find this introduction to the Michamocha, words that were recited by the Israelites as they crossed the sea of reeds and really felt the presence of God. I don't know about you, by the way, when I was listening to that final round of Listen Israel, could you hear the angels singing? Right? You could really feel it. That's what we want tonight. So as I begin, if you'll respond, true and certain it is that there is one God and there is none like our God.
It is God who redeemed us from the might of tyrants and delivered us from slavery to freedom.
Great are the things that God has done. The Lord's wonders are without number.
God brought forth Israel from Egyptian bondage and has been our hope in every generation.
May you continue your protecting care over Israel and guard all your children from disaster.
When the children of Israel beheld your might, they gave thanks to you and praised your name.
They accepted your sovereignty willingly and sang in joyous thanksgiving.
Moses and the children of Israel proclaimed in great exultation.
Umachuto bratzon kiblu alehem Moshe uvenei Yisrael lecha anu shira besimcha rabba v'yameru chulam
All night, our part.
Machutecha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe zeili anu ve'amru Ne'emar kifada Adonai et Yaakov ugelo miyad chazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai
Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Ay 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 Ga'al Yisrael.
Page 420, Hashkivenu.
So you guys sounded so good. I mean, really, at Listen Israel, so beautiful. And it's really not about the choir or me. It's about you, and it's about us, and us being together in community. So sing loud, sing strong. You know this. Hashkivenu Adonai.
That's it.
Eloheinu leshalom vehamidenu malkeinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai. Eloheinu leshalom vehamidenu malkeinu. ufros aleinu sukat shalom mecha, baruch atah Adonai. Amo Yisrael, Ve'al Yerushalayim.
So the next paragraph, the Shamru, says on Shabbat, it is Shabbat. So throughout our services tonight and tomorrow, we will make all additions that include Shabbat, which was strange tonight, by the way, not to have Shabbat, right? If you're doing it the so-called right way, there was no Kiddush, there was no blessings for Shabbat, there was no nothing, because if we had started Shabbat, we would have started Yom Kippur. So that's our dilemma. So it's very awkward that tonight was really a Shabbat dinner without the Shabbat blessings. If you forgot this year, you'll remember next time. That's why we sent out a little video during the week to kind of remind people it's a really hard thing to get, because how could you have Shabbat and not have Shabbat? So, but we will acknowledge it throughout the services tonight, tomorrow, of the Shamru, middle of page 420. My pleasure to introduce at this time, as we do each Kol Nidre, to provide our president the opportunity to share some thoughts with you. It's my honor to call forward Julie Devine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, there you go.
Oh my goodness. It's so nice to see all of you here tonight. I would like to say that this was completely unexpected, my being here tonight. Standing here addressing you on Kol Nidre was definitely not something on my radar a year ago. Actually, being this involved in synagogue life was never really something I had really thought about. Here's a little background about me. I'm an original Valley girl, like Rhodey. raised without a Jewish education or a synagogue affiliation. As I shared in my article in this month's Voice, the high holidays were unpleasant and confusing for my sister and me because we never went to shul. We felt like outsiders in our own religion. Jewish customs overall seemed to me more like strict rules intended to make one feel unworthy if not followed. Going to shul was intimidating because I didn't know Hebrew and I didn't know the prayers. So how could a place and practice like this be welcoming, comforting, and meaningful? I'm being open and honest about my journey from being completely unaffiliated and disconnected to standing here before you on this bema tonight as a president of the synagogue. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever think I would be president of a temple. I ended up on this road because I found purpose and meaning, relevance and guidance through Jewish wisdom. From life cycle events like the birth of my children to the deaths of my father and my father-in-law, through becoming a bereavement supporter and president of Women of Aliyah, through learning about Judaism as my kids attended preschool, religious school, and celebrating their B'nai Mitzvah. Through all these key moments in my life, I was moved, I was comforted, and inspired by our clergy and our community. And I'm pretty sure many of you have had the similar experiences. Which brings me to this moment here on Kol Nidre, and it's the one time we all get together and we're all in one room, and I'm going to take advantage of the fact that you're my captive audience. So I have a big question for all of you. For thousands of years, excuse me, Jewish teaching has served us well. So what are we going to do to make sure Judaism continues to flourish for the next generation? Because even though Jewish wisdom hasn't changed, synagogue life has. We need to figure this out, and we need to figure it out together. Earlier this year, we began a visioning and planning process with the assistance of United Synagogue, our national conservative organization. This project has brought to light many interesting things about our community. We're doing some things very well, and there are others that we need to improve upon. But what I find to be the most significant and challenging is that we have two distinct communities here at Temple Aliyah. We have those who embrace tradition in Jewish life and those who embrace progress in Jewish life. In a very spot-on article in the September 14, 2017 edition of the Jewish Telegraph, Steve Wernick, who's CEO of the United Synagogue of Conservative Judaism, said this: "We are living at a moment of great disruption. We all sense it. We all experience it. It impacts every aspect of our lives: education, economics, politics, social society. Judaism is not immune to these forces." Rabbi Wernick adds, "In order to keep and attract members, we need to figure out how the congregation enhances and expands the key moments of people's lives and functions as a catalyst for their passions through Judaism. In other words, it's about purpose, not program. It's about meaning, not membership. As Rabbi Wernick says, the Jewish future is not yet fully defined. From the bottom of my heart, I am asking each one of you to help define the future of Judaism right here at our beloved Temple Aliyah. There has to be a way for those of us who embrace tradition and those of us who embrace progression to meet at what Rabbi Wernick calls the intersection of heritage and progress." I love that. So let's dedicate ourselves to working together, honoring our tradition while also guiding the necessary progress of Jewish life, so that Temple Aliyah and conservative Judaism will continue to enhance the key moments of people's lives, so it will function as a catalyst for passions for the next generation while inspiring the disconnected as I will. Close your eyes for a moment and consider, for instance, how losing a loved one or celebrating the birth of a child would have been different without Judaism in your life. This may sound strange, but when my father passed away, having Rabbi Vogel at the hospital the night before he passed and having him officiate at his funeral gave me a sense of peace that I never would have experienced in that terrible time had I not been a member here at this synagogue. I've heard from many of you that the future of conservative Judaism is extremely important to you, and I completely agree. It's important to me too. So I'm asking for your assistance to make this happen. Start the new year by sharing your thoughts and your ideas with me, with David Brook, with the clergy, other members of the board, or the visioning committee. What types of Shabbat services, what type of Shabbat services would entice you to come to Shabbat service more often? What's a fair membership dues model? What do you want for your children and your grandchildren to get out of religious school? These are just a few of the many topics that we need to address, and this is not easy work. But it's necessary if we're going to continue to flourish for generations. Please get involved and volunteer to help. We need to work on this together, and we need you. I'm hoping for another unexpected and amazing occurrence, having the privilege of chatting with all of you tonight here on Kol Nidre. And I'm hoping that together we will create a legacy for Temple Aliyah in Judaism, and we'll continue to enhance the key moments of our lives and function as a catalyst for passions for the next generation. I invite you all to join me on this journey. Gamar Hatima Tova, may you be sealed in the book of life.
Asher Koch. If you want to know how different life is in synagogue life, just read my article in The Voice entitled, "Give Me Your Intermarried Children." I want you to read that article, talk about how we need to respond and think differently in terms of dealing with these issues and embracing into our community. We continue in the service, page 422, the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadav, Yikadash, Shemei Rabbah. Amen. Be'amad yivrach hirutei, ve'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uve'yamechon, uve'chayedechon. Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv, v'yimeru, amen. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'elam u'lamei amaya, yitbarach. V'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha, berichu. Le'ela, le'ela, mikol berchata v'shirata, tush berchata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'yimeru, amen.
Page 424, you'll find the Amidah that's recited silently in the evenings. We're going to begin, though, with Adonai Tzvatai. Just remind you, when you make your way through the Amidah, the inclusions of Shabbat, and of course, you'll find the Al-Chetz and the Ashamnus. For the first time, we strike our chest at each one. I encourage you, whether Hebrew or to find the meaning in English, to make your way through. Let's rise together, please. Adonai Tzvatai.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufiyah Ki Tehilatecha. Oh God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Ose shalom, 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 bimrom avuya ase shalom aleinu. Sing with me. Ose shalom, 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 bimrom avuya ase shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom, 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 bimrom avuya aseh shalom aleinu. Oh, say shalom, 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 bimrom avuya aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Page 446, we rise together, please, as the ark is opened. Ya'aleh, Ya'aleh.
Ya'aleh, Ya'aleh, tachanunenu me'erev, ve'yavo shabbatenu miboker, yera'eh rinunenu ad harev, ve'yera'eh rinunenu ad harev. Ya'aleh, Ya'aleh kolenu me'erev, ve'yavo tzidkanenu miboker, ve'yera'eh pidyonenu ad harev, ve'yera'eh pidyonenu ad harev. Ya'aleh, Ya'aleh dovkenu me'erev,
Lines from the bottom.
ve'yavo gilenu miboker, ve'yera'eh bakashatenu ad harev, ve'yera'eh bakashatenu ad harev. Ya'aleh, Ya'aleh enkatenu me'erev, ve'yavo elecha miboker, ve'yera'eh eleinu ad harev, ve'yera'eh eleinu ad harev.
As the ark is closed, we remain standing. Page 454, you'll find there the 13 attributes. Adonai, Adonai.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rahum veChanun, Erech Apayim, veRav Chesed ve'emet, Notzer Chesed lalafim, Nosei avon va'fesha ve'chata ve'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, El Rahum veChanun, Erech Apayim, Malkeinu Unchaltanu. Avanu, Avinu, Kichatanu, Mehalanu, Malkeinu, Kivashanu, Ki Ata Adonai Tov v'Salach. Ki Ata Adonai Tov v'Salach. Ki Ata Adonai Tov v'Salach. Rachesed, Rachesed, L'chol korecha.
You may be seated. So I want to share with you a story of a friend of mine. I've known her for 30 years, and she always struggles with vacations. For her husband, her 2 children. She knows it's the most important time to share memories and spend intimate time with your family. There's just a couple of problems for her. So she's afraid to go skiing. So she'll go with her family on a skiing vacation, but she'll never experience that ride up from the ski lift or the fun of being on the mountain with them. She's down in the lodge with the Coco. She's terrified of skiing. She's also definitely afraid of the ocean. So her family will go to a beach resort, but she's not going anywhere near that water. She likes to travel to foreign countries, but she doesn't travel well. When she goes to Mexico, in fact, you know what happens. Food and water. Same thing happens whatever country she goes to. She's dying to go to India, but she's just not going close to India. So every time she has to deal with vacation, she has to confront her fears. And she knows that it inhibits her sense of excitement and joy in life, but every vacation is a moment of confronting her fears and overcoming them or not, and usually not. There are many people who deal with crippling fears. I know a number of people who are afraid to fly. I won't ask for hands here. Who are deathly afraid of flying and who will not go to visit even close family members because they still don't believe that planes can truly fly. So what is your greatest fear? Global warming, health, retirement, being able to afford college for your kids without mortgaging your future, traveling anywhere because of terrorism, present condition of our country. So if you want to know how you stack up with the rest of the country, here are the results of a survey conducted by Chapman University last year about the greatest fears of people. Number 1, corrupt government officials. 60% of the people. Number 2, terrorist attack. Remember, this is in the United States, by the way. 41%. Not having enough money for future, 40%. Terrorism in general, 38%. Government gun control, 38%. People who I love dying, 38%. Economic financial collapse, 37%. Identity theft. This is before Equifax, by the way. I'm sure this one jumped up, right? But it was then 37%. So let me ask you a question. I want with a show of hands. How many of you think that you are more fearful today than you were 20 years ago? Well, that's a good percentage. So you're not alone, by the way. According to Dr. Barry Glassner, professor of sociology who's written extensively on fear, 3 out of 4 Americans report that they are more afraid today than they were 20 years ago. 3 out of 4. In his book, The Culture of Fear, what is titled Culture of Fear, Why Americans Are Afraid of the Wrong Things. It's published in 1999. I'll talk about that in a moment. He wrote, quote, part of what I find interesting about this is that overall most Americans live in what is arguably the safest time and place in human history. And yet fear levels are high and there are many, many fears out there. Every generation has had its fears and things to worry about. Foreign invaders, plague, pestilence of crops, drought, fears have been part of human experience. Sometimes the fears are consistent and sometimes they change. So by the way, what were the greatest fears? If you could look this up until a century ago, greatest fears of people were epidemics of influenza, typhus, typhoid, and cholera. But today, antibiotics changed all of that. And by the way, internal diseases like cancer and other things that were unknown of couldn't be dealt with until the middle of the 19th century when they were using finally ether as an anesthesia and x-rays. But today, we know that smoking causes cancer and that sun will cause cancer. But they didn't know that. Ignorance can be bliss sometimes, can't it? So how is it that we're so much more afraid today? Have you thought about that? So one of the great causes and changes how we receive information. Now, you know this, right? In ancient world, and by the way, not too long ago, you'd have to have a courier who'd be on an animal that would bring the news from wherever you were going. And then you get Pony Express, right? The fastest way. Now, by the way, Pony Express went out of business 2 days after the telegraph cable was laid in foundation in our country. 2 days later, from telegraph to radio to news to TV, and now we are all bombarded on our smartphones every moment of news that occurs. Right? Many of us yearn for the days when we were not afraid to let our children walk outside or to ride their bikes to school. Remember those days? It feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? There are no more kidnappings today than there were in the time of the Lindbergh kidnapping. We're just more afraid of them because we hear about them on the news from around the world. And even if you don't want to watch the news, you get that Amber Alert, don't you? As you're driving on the freeway or on that phone, that's right, that loud siren tells you another child's missing. And what happens? Oh my God. My child? A child I know? So we're dealing with great fear. According to Glassner, fear-mongering has become too prevalent in our society. His book, published in 1999, already calls out news outlets, politicians for the culture of fear that they're now experiencing. He also acknowledges organizations that manipulate us for our perceptions and for profit that things are worse than they are, including advocacy groups that want to share and exaggerate the prevalence of particular diseases, by the way. From Glassner's point of view, fear is not the problem. We must acknowledge legitimate concerns. We have legitimate concerns, but when we begin to fear so much that it distracts us from real fears, then we have a problem. There are many real fears. And here's where, by the way, I'm afraid politics will rear its ugly head, doesn't it? So some of you, based on your political leanings, will either be more afraid of global warming and affordable health care, or the economy and immigration. And you know which side that is. I'm not going to tell you which one to be afraid of. My goal, by the way, is to share the dangers of making everything a DEFCON 1 fear. That is the problem. Because by elevating fear in everything to the highest level, our bodies can't handle it. In Glassner's words, scare topics like political terrorism, child care sadists, and fire on the operating table get major play in the media. But he says, in essence, if you are more likely to be struck by lightning than impacted by an issue, how afraid should you really be? Parents who fear kidnapping but let their children ride a bike without a helmet, he writes, are acting irrationally. He points to shark attacks, violent crime, and even terrorism in America as being over-feared as well. And Glasgow spreads his blame around, the media in particular, both right and left. Things have gotten so bad in the years that he published his original book. He republished it in 2010, and here with a new title. Why Americans Are Afraid of the Wrong Things. That was the original title. Now, the new one. Crime, drugs, minorities, teen moms, killer kids, mutant microbes, plane crashes, railroads, and so much more. So the first thing to know about fear is that it's an essential emotion of survival. You know that. Most of us learned about fight or flight. Remember that from elementary school, from middle school? It's an instinct. It's triggered by our Darwinian survival instinct. So by the way, I could share with you the long description, the physical reaction that takes place in our body, from the moment that we sense a fear. Right? Beginning in the amygdala, ultimately the hormonal blasts of adrenaline, but I don't want to go through the whole chain of events. All you need to know is, you know when it is. Don't you feel it when your chest starts beating really fast? And you feel that fear. And your breath starts, and something's happening to you. But all you're doing is watching the news. Why do our bodies respond so quickly to this fear? According to Dr. Rick Hansen, author of books on neurosciences, it's because the fight or flight instinct is hardwired into our brains, which is looking for bad news. We are primed for the negative, ladies and gentlemen. Our brains are primed for that. So in his words, quote, the brain is like Velcro for negative experiences, but Teflon for positive ones. According to Hansen, our brains evolved in order to make sure our ancestors survived by tricking us in 3 ways, he says. 1, overestimating threats. 2, underestimating opportunities. And 3, underestimating resources for dealing with the threat. For Hansen, his words, quote, this was a great way to pass on gene copies, but a lousy way to promote quality of life. When we follow our brain's emphasis on fear, we can refrain from doing things that are meaningful. As an example, Hansen is an example of this fear. Let me share with you. On Sunday, the Hazan Stein and I and congregants are going with our choir to the Greater Zion Church in Compton. We've been there before. It's not our first time. We're going to go and join in the congregation that have become a sister congregation in prayer. But the first time we told our congregants they were going to Compton, you don't think their fight or flight instinct kicked in? But we drove out there, and we saw it was fine. And not only was it fine, we had the sense of fellowship. But had we allowed the fear to control us, we never would have made that relationship. So how often does fear prevent you from doing something that you should? Maybe it's helping somebody else, but you're afraid of the consequences, or the fear that something will happen to you. On the other hand, overcoming the fear factor can often lead to some of the most joyous moments. For some people, it's skydiving out of a plane or going ziplining. I remember my daughter Talia. She was about 9 or 10 years old. She was one of the most cautious children you could imagine. Right? We used to be able, by the way, to put her on the kitchen cabinet, right, and just walk around and leave her there. She wouldn't move. We never had to baby-proof our house. She wouldn't go anywhere. And so the cautious one, whenever we went to amusement parks, would never go on the roller coasters or anything. And she really wanted to try Splash Mountain at Disneyland. Wasn't going to happen. She watched that thing fall. Remember, she's 9 or 10 and still terrified. So we finally talked her into getting in under the premise and the knowledge that I would be holding her. She'd be in the very back, and I would be holding onto her. So we got in. She's digging into my arms like this. I can feel the skin about to break. And we go over the edge. You know that moment. And how long does it really last? Like a couple of seconds? And she's still huddled over, and I'm going, is she going to be terrified? Will she hate me? And all I hear is this, again, again, again. Is overcoming a fear. How many of you have been stopped from something that you should have done, whether to enjoy life, to help others, to be engaged because of that fear? Aside from Glasser's concern that unnecessary fear detracts us from dealing with our real fear, there's also a question of how much fear our bodies and minds and souls can take. So what's the long-term impact of fear and its evil partner, anxiety? Congregant and friend who's very much into mindfulness has done a great deal of reading and thinking on the issue. One of the images she provided me with was this. So you and I were designed genetically to be walking the plains of the savannah, hunting and avoiding the most dangerous animals like a tiger. So every time that they would see a tiger, they would run. And you can imagine the adrenaline and the emotion that it would take to run, to outrun that tiger. Problem is that there are no more tigers today. And our brains still believe they are. So when we watch the news sometimes, and we're engaged in that fear moment, our bodies are sensing that a tiger is chasing us, and we're running for our lives. That's the fear and the reaction that our bodies engage in. We're not designed for the long-term impact of fear that we are now encountering. That's just a fact. So first of all, there are the physical reactions. Physiological reactions that take place to weaken our immune system. Here's what fear can do. It can cause cardiovascular damage, gastrointestinal problems, ulcers, decreased fertility, diabetes, accelerated aging, and even premature death. Shall I repeat that list? It can impact memory, by the way. I won't take you through the entire health lesson of what fear and anxiety can do to your body, but just know the impact of cortisol, adrenaline, and norepinephrine. Those of you know that the doctors will know these. What does that do to you? And long term, it's not good. It gives another meaning to the idea that fear will kill you. Being scared to death. People don't realize how much the constant fear can really create these long-term effects. They've actually looked and studied fear and the recipients to the degree of having PTSD. That's what fear can do to us. And finally, fear can poison our soul. How we treat others, and then how they put that forward. When we become fearful, we become more suspicious of people, how likely we are to trust them. Isn't that what happens to you when you're afraid? Fear may speed up our heart rate, but it actually constricts our compassion. That's what happens. By succumbing to fear, we close our hearts and we don't let the love out. Many of you know that one of my favorite verses of the Torah is that you shall not bear a grudge or seek revenge. Why? Because it means holding that hatred in your heart. And we become the people that we don't want to be. And that's what happens with fear. Our souls get poisoned, and we become people we just don't want to be. The impact of fear is not only on us, but also on our children. Fear and anxiety can actually become part of your DNA. I want you to imagine for this generation that has so much fear in their lives, that is getting married later, the potential impact it's going to have on the next generations. So the most common word for fear in the Bible, by the way, is yira. More than 80 times, by the way, the Torah tells us, al tira, we should not be afraid. Over and over, we are told, do not be afraid, and yet what is the one thing that we're supposed to be afraid of? Ve'areta me'elohecha, you shall fear God. So what is that yira in the Torah? When it comes to God, the rabbis, most of them want to tell us it's about awe. Having a sense of awe in God and in the world, and not about the fear. By the way, these are the Yamim Noraim, the days, we don't say the days of fear. How do we translate that? Days of awe. That's what the yira should be. Rabbi Brad Arson wrote, quote, traditional sources speak of two forms of yira. One which is considered unworthy of serious consideration, that's fear and the consequences of God's power. The higher yira is an attitude of mind and soul in which man is filled with a sense of awe at the contemplation of God's tremendous majesty. The higher yira is one that calls upon the best within us, mustering our humility and reverence in response to the wonder of being in God's presence. So how do we respond to this idea of fear of God? What do the rabbis emphasize and we take from the Torah? The Shema, you know that. The essence of our prayers, to love the Lord your God, because love is what needs to come out. And that's what helps us balance that fear. Rabbi Nomi Levy, many of you know Rabbi Levy, who, by the way, will be our scholar in residence in November with a brand new book that she published, Einstein the Rabbi, which is a fantastic book. So we'll see you back here in November. She wrote this: there are two divine attributes. They are love and fear. Love and fear are always keeping each other in check, like yin and yang. Love is an outpouring that flows from the soul. It pours and spreads like water. That's where the second divine attribute, fear, comes in. Fear is here to counterbalance love. Not lower level fear that cripples us and prevents us from fulfilling our potential, but holy fear. Holy fear is constraint, awe, and trembling. The fear of losing it all. It's a force within that says, stop. Holy fear is a voice that says, think before you leap, weigh the consequences before you act. Take a moment to contemplate before you hit send. Recognize the beauty of what you have before you trample all over it, she writes. So Rabbi Levy suggests that we must transform the crippling fear. That's the fear that you and I feel every day. We have to translate that and transform it into holy fear. Fear that helps us and balances us on the right path. There are real fears in our world that we need to confront. But don't put every fear at that level. You won't survive it. We must realize the damage that it causes in our lives over an extended period of time. We must try to limit the fears, not to elevate each one to DEFCON 1. We have to focus on Rabbi Levy's holy fear that channels the fight or flight instinct into a force that keeps us on that good path. The idea is to take that fear that paralyzes you and to move you forward in a good direction. When we believe that the world is good around us, when you believe that you're not alone, when you feel this sense that there are theirs with you, your fear is eliminated or subsides. Fear is real and important. We just have to learn how to deal with it. So this is what I want for you, Temple Aliyah. I want you to think hard and fast about what the real fears are. To think hard and fast and think rationally about what you really need to be afraid of. Diminish your fear intake. Bring more love into the world. Transform your fears into holy fears. This is a formula for a good year. Gemar Chatima Tova. May you all be instilled and inscribed for a year of goodness, and let us say, Amen. I ask you to rise at this time as we continue in our service. The Shema Kolenu, the ark is open, page 458.
Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Hus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel berachamim, v'kabel berachamim, uveratzon et tefilatenu, et tefilatenu, uveratzon et tefilatenu, et tefilatenu. Hear our voice, Lord our God. Spare us, pity us. Accept our prayer in your grace. תשליכנו מלפניך ורוקודשך תיקח ממנו. אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה ככלות כוחנו. אל תעזבנו. אל תעזבנו, אדוני אלוהינו. אל תרחק ממנו.
The ark is closed. We remain standing, page 460.
אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו. כי אנו עמך ואתה אלוהינו, אנו בניך ואתה אבינו, אנו עבדיך ואתה אדוננו, אנו קהלך ואתה חלקנו, אנו נחלתך ואתה גורלנו, אנו צונך ואתה רוענו, אנו חרמך ואתה נודרנו, אנו פעולתך ואתה יוצרנו, אנו רעייתך ואתה דודנו, אנו סגולתך ואתה קרובנו, אנו עמך ואתה מלכנו, אנו מאמירך ואתה מאמירנו.
Let you sit for a moment. Go ahead. Just a moment. Don't want you to get too excited. We're about to do a shamnu, but a shamnu which gives us some rules we'll talk about in a moment. I want to give you some rules to live by, all right? Here you go. Always keep your words soft and sweet, just in case you have to eat them. Drive carefully. It's not only cars that can be recalled by their maker. If you can't be kind, at least have the decency to be vague. If you lend someone $20 and never see that person again, it was probably worth it. Nobody cares if you can't dance well. Just get up and dance. Some mistakes are too much fun to make only once. Finally, we could learn a lot from crayons. Some are sharp, some are pretty, some are dull. Some have weird names and all are different colors, but they all have to live in the same box. A shamnu is a reflection of our mistakes that we've made, from Aleph to Taf, as if from A to Z, things that we're supposed to reflect on, to think about, but most importantly, to learn from. That's what this is about. We strike our chest, but we're not supposed to really beat ourselves up. We're supposed to strike our chest to awaken us the possibilities of what can be if we can acknowledge that mistake and learn from it and be better people as a result. For me, that's the meaning of a shamnu. I ask you to rise, page 462, as we join together.
Ay, 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 ay,
Here we go, strike your chest. Shamnu,
Bagadnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu,
Gazalnu,
Dibarnu Dofi,
Barnu Dofi,
Hevinu,
Evinu,
Vehir Shanu,
Behir Shanu,
Zadnu,
Zahadnu,
Hamasnu,
Hamahasnu,
Tafalnu Sheker,
Falnu Sheker,
Yatsnu Ra,
Yahatsnu Ra,
Kizavnu,
Kidzahavnu,
Latsnu,
Lahatsnu, Nihasnu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Hashanu,
Pashanu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Kishinu Oref, Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tahinu,
Titanu,
Titanu,
ay, 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 ay.
Page 466, the Al-Chetz, as we've come to do them here at Temple Aliyah. We'll start with the Hebrew, Al-Chetz Shechatanu Lefanecha, and then we will read the English, each part of that ending as the Chazan will lead us.
Al chet shekatanu lefanecha,
By hardening our hearts. Together we read that.
ve'al chet shekatanu lefanecha,
By speaking perversely,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha,
publicly and privately,
ve'al chet shekatanu
by
lefanecha,
corrupt speech,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha,
by evil thoughts,
ve'al chet shekatanu
by
lefanecha,
insincere confession,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha,
intentionally and unintentionally,
ve'al chet shekatanu
by
lefanecha.
desecrating your name. For all these sins together, O Lord of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
Ve'al kulam Eloah selichot selach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu al chet shekatanu lefanecha
By foolish talk,
ve'al chet shekatanu lefanecha
knowingly and unknowingly,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha
by bribery,
ve'al chet shekatanu lefanecha
slander,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha
eating and drinking,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha
by false pride. For all these sins, O God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
ve'al kulam Eloah selichot selach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu al chet shekatanu lefanecha
By wanton glances,
ve'al chet shekatanu lefanecha
effrontery,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha
perverting justice,
ve'al chet shekatanu
by
lefanecha
envy,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha
by being stubborn,
ve'al chet shekatanu lefanecha
by talebearing,
al chet shekatanu lefanecha
causeless hatred,
ve'al chet shekatanu lefanecha
confusion of values. This is, O God, forgiveness. Forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
ve'al kulam Eloah selichot selach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu ve'al kulam Eloah selichot selach lanu mechal lanu selach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu.
Page 476, the Kaddish Shalem.
Yikra v'yikra shemei rabba. Yamad yivrach yeruteh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chayachon v'yamachon v'chayir kol beit Yisrael ba'agalau v'zman kari ve'imeru. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'alam elam me'almaya yit. Yitbarach v'yishbach v'yitpar v'yitmam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudashah. V'rich u'leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran be'alama v'yimeru.
Amen.
Tikabel salot honu vatahon decho Yisrael kodamu v'hon devishmaya v'yimeru.
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'yimeru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'el kol Yisrael v'yimeru.
Page 478, Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach Adon hakol latet gedula leotzer breshit shelo asanu ki goyei aratzot velo zamanu kimishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shinu shamayim v'yosef Kakatu b'Torah Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed v'ne'emar v'haya Adonai le'melech al kol ha'aretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo
You may be seated. Page 484 of the Psalm. During this time of year, we join together. We just read silently Hebrew or English. Adonai or Revish.
Lule emanti lirot betuv Adonai be'eretz chayim kavel el Adonai chazak vayimetz libecha v'kavel el Adonai.
Page 482. Mourner's Kaddish at this time, because this is Shabbat, I'll be reading the Yortzeit names. So we'll, with your forgiveness, we have some names here to read. Lena Abramson, Ida Amhowitz, Max Barney Barishman, Albert Brelo, Jack Frankel, Clement Litwin, Sarah Marchant, Leon Marcus, Beatrice Perlow, Maury Sage Schreg, Lena Spiegel, Edith Ferdman, Gertrude Manick, May Middlemark, Gary Roshba, Ronald Retton, Isaac Edelman, Julia Fredgant, Rebecca Goldstein, Samuel Huskovich, Chaim Jacoby, Jacob Mendel, Fanny Papel, Mary Sidis, Michael Smugar, Yocheved Buder, Shirley Douglas, Gershon Kuchik, Betty Levy, Marvin Madnick, Joe Minogue, Theodore Ricosi, Wilfred Shatskin, Harry Tobias, Larry Bonger, Harry Lila Goodman, Richard Henderson, Minnie E. Horwitz, Esther Rosenberg, Agnes Spiegel, Sidney Berkowitz, Pearl Blankstein, Sadie Blaustein, Harold Cohen, Irvin Cohen, Rochelle Frankel, Dorothy Sandemirsky Krause, Jay Perlman, Pauline Schanzer, Jacob Schoenberg, Brian Sunderland, Suzanne Brandt, Paul Eisner, Lois Gabo, Bertha Honig, Mitchell Cantor, Florence Krieger, Sam Lumerman, Ruth Perlman, Leonard Sanders, and Doris Sedley. We remember this week of their passing. We mourn as well the bereavements in our community. Aftib Khalili, the mother of Dina Ben Aminia, grandmother of Lisa Aminia. We mourn as well the passing of Michael Turret's, husband of Roberta Burt Turret's. For all who have need or desire to recite the mourner's Kaddish at this time, I invite you to rise. And those of us who are seated will respond in the sections loudly and clearly to let these people know that they have community around them as they begin together. Yit Gadal v'Yit Gadal. Amen. Ve'alma divrach Yerutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed v'chol Beit Yisrael. V'agala v'zman karib. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbam Avorach le'olam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal. Shmei dekudesha brichu. Le'ela le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechamata. Damiran v'alma v'meru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'meru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'meru. Amen.
Amen.
May God establish his peace in the heavens, grant peace and harmony for us, for all of Israel and all of humanity, as we say, Amen. Just a quick announcement. Tomorrow, those of you who want to stay here all day, you're invited all day. After services, the morning services, at 1:30, you can listen to Dr. Bruce Powell in a session entitled American Idols, as we talk about current idolatries in American society. All right, that's 1. 2:30 by Rabbi Adam Schaefer, Playing God, a Jewish look into stem cell research. 3:30 with Rabbi Ben Goldstein. 11 hours of services over the past 10 days have probably left you pondering a few questions. Come and ask them. Rabbi Goldstein will have at 3:30, just question and answer any of your questions of life. Don't forget to bring your Sova bags back with food. So the Holy Rebbe of Sense used to tell a parable this time of year. One of them was there were two people lost in the forest. One of them was going alone, and he was lost for many days in the forest. And he had no idea of the right way to go to get out of the forest. Suddenly, he saw another person going in the forest towards him. A great joy rose in his heart that now finally there would be someone to show him the correct way out of the forest. When they came to each other, he asked him, "Brother, tell me, what is the best way to go? I've been lost in this forest for many days." The second one answered him, "I cannot tell you what is the proper way. I've also been lost here for many days. However, one thing I can tell you, the way I have been going, you should not go. It is not the correct way. But come let us together choose a new way." When the Rebbe finished the story, there were tears in his eyes from emotion. Then he said, "I'm not able to tell you anything except this. The way in which we have been going until now, we should not follow anymore. This way is an error. Let us try for ourselves a new way." The story here is that we're not alone. We have family, we have friends to help us find that way. May this be a year always, and a day now of reflection and goodness. We're going to finish up with Adon Olam. These are one of the few times that we have to encourage you not to stay and to share and chat, because the next service is coming in. It's our one downfall of this service. So if you'll make your way as we do Adon Olam together and wish you a Gamar Chatima Tova at Tzom Kol, we rise together, page 488, Adon Olam.
Asher Malach v'terem kol yitzir nivra le'ein nasav v'chefso kol azai melech shemo nikra v'yacharei kichlot hakol v'levado yimloch nora v'hu haya v'hu hoveh v'hu yiyeh b'tifara she Shan